This episode of Mathematics with Mr. Richardson has been brought to you by Hilton Hotels and Resorts, downtown Anchorage, Alaska. Reminding you, at Hilton, if you're not satisfied with your stay, let us know and we'll make it right. Section 8.1, Translations. What you'll learn: to graph and describe translations in the coordinate plane. Some new vocabulary for this section: transformation, translation, and image. Why learn this? Translations are used in games and in the arts. You can use translations to plan a winning chess strategy or choreograph a figure skating routine. Before we move too much farther, how about a check of the skills you'll need? Number 1, vocabulary review. In what quadrant is the point -3, 5 located? And questions 2 through 5. Name the coordinates of each point. A vocabulary tip: each corner of a triangle is a vertex. The plural of vertex is vertices. So you can have one vertex or multiple vertices. A transformation is a change in the position, shape, or size of a figure. A translation is a transformation that moves each point of a figure the same distance and in the same direction. So keep in mind, a translation is just a special kind of transformation that preserves certain aspects of the original figure. The figure you get after a transformation is an image of the original figure. We often call the initial figure the pre-image, meaning that it happened before the transformation, and we often call the figure after the post-image. To identify the image of point A, use prime notation. A prime. Notice the apostrophe represents prime in math, so you would read A apostrophe as A prime. This brings us to example problem number 1, and it's multiple choice. If triangle PQR is translated 6 units to the right and 3 units down. Note this is a translation. Translation preserves the size of the figure and also its orientation, so it's not rotated. A translation can also be referred to as a slide or a glide. So this triangle can be thought of as being slid to the right and down to form its post-image. So once again, back to the question. If it's translated 6 units to the right and 3 units down, what are the coordinates of point P prime? So keep in mind, P prime in this case will be the vertex that corresponds to P in the original triangle. And since this is not a quick check problem, you can see that the answer is D. That's listed in the problem for us, because follow the path of P as it is translated to the right and then down, leading us to P prime, and the coordinates of that point are 1, -2, which of course matches option D. And here's a quick check to make sure you are understanding this concept. Triangle JKL. Note it's not shown here. You may want to draw a sketch. It has vertices J at the point 0,2, K at the point 3,4, and L at the point 5,1. Translate triangle JKL 4 units to the left and 5 units up. I'll take a break while you sketch that. Pre-image, post-image, translation. If that's not long enough, pause the video. Okay, let's move on. What are the coordinates of J prime? You may have noticed in example 1, and if you recall example 1, we had triangle PQR, and it was translated to the right and downward to form a congruent triangle that we named P prime, Q prime, R prime. A translation of a figure preserves the side lengths and angle measures of the figure. You can use arrow notation to describe the translation. The translation of each point is shown below. The point P, -5,1, was translated to the point P prime at 1, -2. I'll let you read Q to Q prime and also R to R prime, but just note the arrow notation for the translation of the triangle is triangle PQR is translated to triangle P prime, Q prime, R prime. You can also use arrow notation to write a general rule that describes a translation. For example 1, the point xy is translated to the point x plus 6. Recognize that as the transition or the transformation to the right 6 units, because an increase of 6 in the x direction means moving to the right. And y minus 3. Notice that means a decrease in the y value of 3. And as we know, a decrease in 3 in the y value means moving down 3. Note this arrow notation shows an ordered pair xy and describes a translation to the right 6 and down 3. Example number 2, describing a translation. Write a rule to describe the translation of the black triangle to the blue triangle. Each point has moved 4 units to the right and 2 units down, so the translation adds 4 to the x-coordinate and subtracts 2 from the y-coordinate. The rule is the point xy is translated to, using the arrow notation, the point x plus 4, an increase of 4 in the x direction, and y minus 2, a decrease of 2 in the y direction. Time for your quick check problem. Write a rule that describes the translation shown on the graph at the right. And now your check your understanding problems, numbers 1 through 6. Remember that right now is your opportunity to pause the video to take a screenshot that you could even print to work on paper.